by 5.
Drei Gläser.
Two. One.
That's no moon.
What's up, everybody? We are live. It is episode 42 of the Hardcore Casual. We always say podcast, but it's not really anywhere else other than YouTube. It's more of a broadcast than a podcast.
Yeah,
The
it's a
Hardcore
show.
Casual broadcast. He
Primetime
is Jay
show.
of F1 podcast fame. I am
Yo.
Mason of Radio Infamy, and we are the conversation at the table behind you. And speaking of behind us, behind me are walls that have not been this blank since our first handful of episodes, Jay. Oh,
That is crazy.
You were changing your own
Yeah.
walls. Yeah,
I had to, man, because I still had the one from the episode of the Fuel Pod from Monday, where we talked about the race in Austin. But yeah, I noticed immediately that your soundproofing has left the building.
Yep. This will be the last show
Episode
broadcast
ever.
from this room.
That's
This will be gone. I will be elsewhere, and in fact, as a result, I will be moving virtually all of next week, and so we will not be able to do a show next Thursday. But I talked to Jay, and we are going to do a show Saturday or Sunday. We'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
hit the bell so you'll be notified. But we'll do a weekend edition of the show. But that's what I've got going on here before we get into anything. Jay, how about you? How are you doing?
Well, it's been a long week. Today, oddly enough, was the longest one of them all. Which this is the one day I don't want to be long because I really like getting ready for this show and getting hyped up. But coming basically straight from work to this seat to do this, it makes it crazy. Luckily, I had a lot of in work brainstorms and was able to get some notes together and stuff for tonight. And I mean, we won't be too crazy verbose about it, but a lot of things I want to bring up because
we say that now.
Important. Yeah, it's true too.
Well, it's been a crazy one for sure, and it's kind of to go along with this whole move thing. Something that has been far-reaching. Some people have been affected, have been relatively unscathed and unaffected. Others, such as myself, have been heavily impacted, and that was the ongoing AWS outage that happened earlier this week. It shut down PlayStation Network and all kinds of apps, streaming services, Prime Video. I was actually going to start watching something on Prime Video, couldn't do that. It totally screwed things up to the point that on Monday, so the reason I'm moving is, again, I'm getting a house, I'm buying a house, or that's where I'm moving to. Well, I was calling, I move next week. We're closing in on the official closing of the house. And so I was calling the underwriting department of the lender, making sure, hey, everything's good. We got everything that we need. And they could not give me any real-time information on my loan or my paperwork or anything like that, because even their systems were down because of the outage. And I know a lot of people are like, well, hey, it's over. It's fixed. It's a brand new day. Like, why are you still complaining about it? It's not over. Not for everybody. I actually have here from downdetector.com. This is a heat map of the places where the PlayStation Network outage, along with all the other outages from AWS, are centralized. So this is a heat map of all those things. If this was a Doppler weather radar, I would be dead, because I am right in the middle. I can't use my pointer on here, but right there where it says Dallas, I would be like right there in the middle of that. So yeah, if this was a radar of thunderstorms or a tornado, I would be dead. I am still in the thick of it.
Yeah, I can see that. And I'm literally right above that red splotch. So luckily
Yet
I didn't
remain
even know it.
unaffected.
I didn't even know it was going on until we got on here this evening, which is crazy.
And it's been going on for like a week. And it's
Yeah.
been crazy. Yeah, I've been. It happened. I believe it was. Yeah, it was over the weekend, and I was playing Borderlands 4 with Rob, and then all of a sudden, stuff just. I mean, Borderlands 4 has not been the most stable of connections to begin with. Anytime we would all get on there, there'd be a time where everybody got kicked. At least a few
Yeah.
times and had to get back on. So it wasn't anything too crazy at first, but it continued. And then at one point, everything just he dropped. He couldn't find me again. There's one where I couldn't get on a call with him or like on a party chat with him. It said there were connection issues, and I just couldn't get on. Then I couldn't connect on Borderlands 4. I couldn't even connect to the server myself, and that's the way it's been
man.
for a week. So I would turn on the game, and it would show that I couldn't connect to their servers, and then my character Rafa was default. Everything was default. Like all the customizations that I had done to him gone, not saved. And then in the few times where I was able to get online briefly, he remained in that state, and then I would change him back. And then whenever I would get back on again, he was back to default. There was even one time just last night, in fact, because I saw these news articles like, oh, it's fixed. Everything's resolved. And I was like, okay, good. And I hopped on and I was able to get connected after a while. And then I was looking to see if you or Rob or somebody was online, and it was blank. I pulled up the friends on PlayStation,
Right.
and it was completely blank. There was nothing. I was like, what? And as I looked through my profile, it said that I had no friends. It said this is where my friends would be once I start making friends. I had to check the app, make sure that I in fact did have friends. But yeah, so it's been. I haven't even tried today, so I don't know if it's actually if it's any better. Obviously, that heat map was from just minutes ago, so it's still an ongoing thing. It's just been a pain in the ass, Jay.
Yeah, and I've had some weird connection related game glitches before. I remember we were talking about Division 2 before this, but I remember on Division 1 there were times if your connection wasn't solid, everybody would have butterface. I mean, they'd all look like the three guys that opened the Ark of the Covenant in Raiders of the Lost Ark, like right before the skin was completely gone. That's what they all look. That's what everybody looked like. And then most recently, the new game Skate is having all kinds of cross-platform issues. If you're playing cross-platform, I've got it on PC and PlayStation because it's free to play. And when I'm playing on PlayStation, I'm not having any problems connecting to my other PlayStation people. But when I'm playing on PC and one of my other friends on Xbox and the 2 or 3 other ones are on PlayStation, like sometimes they'll be invisible. I can't see them. You can still see their gamer tag floating above their head, and it just looks like their gamer tag is moving through the world.
Like launch day of No Man's Sky.
Yeah. Yeah. And then sometimes everything's working great, and you would invite somebody to your party. As soon as they joined your party, you were unable to pause. You were unable to see any of the challenges or anybody in the world. You could still do tricks and stuff, but you wouldn't get score for them. It basically just emptied the world when you'd create a party. And the only thing to do is close it down and
sounds like every party
I
ever threw.
But yeah. But anyway, so your Borderlands 4 was not the only one affected. I'm sure that was part to do with some of the
no doubt
issues as well.
Even my thermostats are still jacked up from this thing. If I try to get my thermostats through the app, it's just been a friggin' nightmare, dude. It's been wild. And one thing, especially as my whenever I get my fleeting moments of free time that I get while preparing for the move and the loan and all the stuff. One thing that I have been doing, which is something that I did a year ago whenever I moved in here, and it was actually one of the topics that we talked about in one of our first shows because CES had just wrapped, and that was cleaning robot vacuums. So whenever I moved in here, it's almost all tile. There's very little carpeting except for the bedrooms. And so I looked, and that's what I, was looking at. And my robot is like, it's focused on mopping. That's what I cared about. Well, now in the new place, it's 2 stories. The bottom floor is primarily tile or wood or laminate or whatever, just surfaces that are not carpet. And the second floor is primarily carpet. And while everything else has been down, Netflix, all this other stuff, I have been watching to see the best performing robot vacuum for carpet is how I've been spending my time. So obviously been real riveting on this side of things over the last week.
And I got to tell you, sitting here looking at it on my desk, it's the first time I've noticed that my Alexa device doesn't have its telltale ring light on that it normally has.
Perhaps
Don't
she
say her
is
name.
Also affected.
Yeah, don't say her name.
I know. I know. Yeah, anytime anybody says like the hot word for whatever these services are, I'm glad I don't use her. I have the one that's named after a search engine. So anytime people like do the things where they'll like say, hey, that word, and I'm like, okay, whew, thank goodness it doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
But I've heard of people like I've started to see people in YouTube videos that will actually like censor the name so that whenever they're doing their whole thing, and they'll like be giving an example of like technology, like a robot vacuum or whatever, and they'll show its integration with that service, so they can just say, hey, and then they'll censor out the name as though they just dropped like a slur or something like that.
Yeah.
To keep everybody's, devices from going haywire.
Dude, I've been watching, and of course, she's about 5 feet from the TV. I watch like streaming stuff on Netflix, Prime Video, whatever. And if a word even remotely sounds like her name, she'll be like, I can look that up for you. This is what I found. And it'll be like a Wikipedia article. And I'm like, oh my, and I'm just like, shut up. And then she'll be like, that's not nice. And now I'm realizing that I'm having a conversation with an inanimate object. So, I just stopped. But anyway.
Well, yeah, man, the same thing happens to me with the other one, the one that's named after a search engine as an Android user. And so there'll be times like I'll be listening to like a video on my phone or whatever, but it's happened during this show before where I have 100% not said the hot phrase. And it's, all of a sudden I'll be talking, and then through the mic, you'll hear like my phone saying like, well, I didn't find any information on that. I'm like, shut up. Yeah. We're getting close, but we're not there yet.
I got to tell you right now too, man, I'm still waiting because I use an iPhone, and the other woman on the iPhone.
Oh yes.
And I've used her name in the presence of the other one's name and vice versa. And they were like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you, Jay. And you're like, shut up. I'm not cheating,
get a little AI jealousy going on.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Hal. I can't do that.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get rolling, brother.
All right. So let's see. Where do we want to start, Jay? Do you want to start with because obviously, like, we'll talk a little bit of Splinter Cell that is game related, but it's game adjacent. You actually have one that is a couple that are directly game related. So we'll start with those.
Yeah, I do. And it's just things I want to, get both of our 2 senses on while it's out there. But so we've had a couple games, big AAA titles that released this week. And probably one, what I would call AA, but some people would maybe call it AAA. So Ninja Gaiden 4 came out this week, and Outer Worlds 2 came out this week. And the funny thing is, like, normally
that's how disconnected I've been. I forgot that Outer Worlds dropped this week.
Yeah. So, well, at least all the review copies are in for streamers and content creators and major media outlets. And the weird thing is, and this normally doesn't happen, but GameSpot and IGN and Game Rant basically have the same scores for both of these games. So part of me thinks that's a good thing. One of them I've actually played, which is Ninja Gaiden 4. It's more of the same, but that's not a bad thing. The visuals are top notch. It's so much faster, or maybe I've just gotten older and I'm just slower, but it is still very much, the Souls-like, before Souls-like that Ninja Gaiden always was. It is still very, very difficult, even on its lowest difficulty setting.
Yeah, I remember what was the first one that went into which one was the first one that was in like 3D, like that was polygonal.
Ninja Gaiden Black.
Okay, so Ninja Gaiden Black was whenever I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this Ninja Gaiden thing, and did not take long for me to realize I am not cut out for this Ninja Gaiden thing. That was the last time I played.
Yeah, luckily I beat Ninja Gaiden Black with 3 other guys after work, and it only took us all night to do it. And I don't know how many boxes of Cheez-Its and cases of Mountain Dew, but we were both, everybody, all 4 of us at one point wanting to throw the big Duke controller on the OG Xbox around because that game was so difficult.
I tried it, man, and I was just like, it was too much. I was like, it was so fast. I do remember just how fast it was.
But IGN, GameSpot, Game Rant, there's a couple other ones, all gave Ninja Gaiden 4 an 8, which is a solid score, especially when you're talking about the 4th iteration of a game. And then Outer Worlds 2, which none of us have played. It doesn't technically come out till the 29th, but all those media outlets and streamers have all played it, also being given 8s, saying it's basically the fleshed out version of what the first one was supposed to be. Which, Obsidian, I thought they nailed the first one, especially with all the DLC, if you got to play any of it.
Do we know how long the game is going to be, like around how long the main story is? Because the first one was more of a proof of concept than anything else, and so it was really short.
I didn't get to read IGN's full review, and usually they give you the length towards the end. So, because usually they make a statement after your 30 hours or whatever it is to get through the main game, and 60 if you're a completionist, you'll be left with this, kind of thing. And I didn't make it that far into the review, but because I had to get on here, but it still sounded like a pretty solid review. So a little redemption for them after their Battlefield 6 review debacle that they made, where they gave it a 5 out of 10 against everybody else giving it 8 to 10s out of 10. So,
well, I'm glad that it's looking good, because that is one that I am looking forward to playing. Whether or not I get to on day one, now that Game Pass has gone through its many splendored transitions and stuff as it's gone through and done its things, and like now I guess like only Ultimate has day one access to everything, and you said that the others will have some day one access, but not day one access to everything. So I'm hoping.
Also, regular PC Game Pass has day one releases. So it's regular PC Game Pass and PC and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate,
of which I only have the console Game Pass because I am not a PC. So I'm just getting it.
Yeah. I get it, man. The other game I wanted to bring up, which I guess technically is a AA title, it's got a 50 million games in its, franchise or whatever, but Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2, getting solid 7s and 8s. One outlet talking about it's like fine wine, you just keep coming back to it. And I thought that was a good way to reference it. So I'm assuming whoever it was somebody that's played all the other ones and is locked in lore wise.
So it's close to its release date then.
Yeah, it should be. I don't know what the actual release date is.
I don't recall, but I do remember though, one of the things that we had talked about whenever it was a big controversy was whenever they had the 2 clans that were locked behind a paywall. And
oh yes, I remember you saying that.
People were very upset by that, and I do know that the makers of the game, they ditched that, they refunded people, and all clans are now available on the base game, and they will find some other way to monetize post-release.
Different types of teeth sets.
Yeah, who knows? Because I as we both said, neither of us have played Masquerade before. I'd always heard about it. I know it'd been around for a long time, and had this really big devoted following, and was always kind of like spoken in high regard. And then this sort of relaunch of the franchise has been obviously delayed. It changed hands from one developer to another. It's like it's just been this whole big long process. So whenever I've looked at stuff, it looks like an MMO. You know, it doesn't look like, it's not anything that's too like the graphical fidelity isn't gonna like, you know, blow your bangs back or anything like that. It's like, okay, it looks like a kind of, you know, fairly standard PC game from like the 2010s. And so I don't know, we'll see, but hopefully Jose, I do know that it's also releasing for consoles, so maybe this will be the one that finally draws both of us in at some point.
Yeah. And you know, you talk about visuals though. Like I've been playing Star Trek Online for 10 years, and they've given us.
Oh, you're Star Trek fan?
Yeah, huge. They've given us. Sarcasm intended. They've given us graphical updates, and so when you're in the ship combat, doing ship combat in space, it looks wonderful. But I'm not going to lie to you. When you're not in the ship, you beam down to a planet, it's passable. But the thing is, the gameplay's so good, you forget. You literally get lost and forget. The storylines are so good. The fact that they have
that was one of the topics that we were going to do. I forgot about. We'll have to move that one on to another one soon about games that are so good, like at other aspects that it makes you overlook, you know,
negatives.
a different aspect.
And the fact that when you're talking to Worf, you know, or you're talking to whoever, you're talking to Scotty or Spock, they've still got Leonard. It's the only place you can go now to hear Leonard Nimoy speak. And he's got something like, I don't know, it's like 11,000 voice lines in that game. It's ridiculous. So yeah, you forget that. Yeah, it looks like an upgraded PS2 title as far as ground grip. Now, like I said, it's two separate games because when you're in space, it looks legit. But anyway, I don't think I say that to say that I'm not going to discount this game based on its visuals if I do get to try it.
Well, and you know, like I said, the legacy kind of, I won't say the legacy speaks for itself because again, it's not the same developers or anything like that, but the legacy does hold a lot of weight. The sort of like the hushed tones that it is whispered in, you know, this legendary, you know, role-playing game that people have been such a fan of. So I'm also not discounting it just because of its graphics. I'm looking forward to the thing that scares me more is just the hot potato that's been played with it throughout its production. That's what scares me more than the visuals, but I definitely want to give it a try and just see what's there.
Yeah. And my other review, and for me, this was just going to be a throwaway topic, but I think you had really something good to say about it. And I don't think you're the only one on the planet that feels the way you do about it. But we talked about Hades 2 and how it is getting just solid 10 perfect scores across the board. And I really feel like you had a genuinely good perspective on roguelikes that a lot of people probably have. So go ahead and take the floor, man.
Well, yeah. So you'd brought up Hades 2, and I was actually talking with my son about this because somehow Hades 2 came up, and I'd mentioned Hades 1 as well, because obviously Hades 1, the whole thing is you are trying to you're climbing level by level by level, trying to get out of hell, and in Hades 2, you are trying to drive yourself further and further, deeper and deeper into the depths of hell to defeat Kronos. So
the Titan
first. Yeah.
Does it follow the lore? Okay.
Yeah, as far as I know, because the first game did. The first game, it was very true to the lore that we knew, but obviously put its own spin on it. That where they followed the lore, but it was in a sort of like a modernized sort of like view of it. So like, you know, the first Hades, you're the son of Hades himself, and all these different sort of entities that we're aware of and all that stuff are in Hades, but basically every time you die, you come back to this sort of hub world. And that's kind of how the story progresses, is every time you die, that's the one thing you can look forward to, is there's like new interactions that you can have there at the bar or wherever with these other things. But yeah, basically the whole thing was that Hades was very well done. It was very highly regarded, highly awarded whenever it released, and rightfully so. It was very well done. And it was a lot of fun. But the thing that gets me, it's just I've found that I just can't do roguelikes much in the same way that, or at least not for very long. Much the same way as like a Soulsborne game. My thing is like, okay, I can do it a few times, but I can't just do the thing where you try to fight a boss hundreds of times just to finally get that one round that you finally get him. And it's this big endorphin rush. And I get the people that enjoy it. I understand why they enjoy it. I just can't do that. I don't have the patience for it. And that's the same thing.
Do you think it's patience, or do you think it's age?
Well, I've never been able to do it, no matter how young.
Okay, because when I was younger, I could do it, but now I'm like, I'll give it 2 or 3 solid college tries, and then I'm like, brother, I got to do something else, man.
Yeah, it's like
life's too short.
I could do more than that, but it's like I just can't do the thing where you just like throw your head against the wall and just like finally get through it. And so, like with Hades, yeah, like Hades, as enjoyable as it is, as well done as it was, and even the levels, they're not they're the same, as in you're in the same floor more or less, but they're procedurally generated, so there's the variety, it's not the same path, whatever. But you do that. And of course, the whole thing is with any roguelike, you go through these levels, you do these runs, you go further and further, and then you encounter the boss, and then you obviously have one shot to beat that boss. You lose to that boss, if you beat that boss, then you keep going, and then you get another boss, and you keep going. There's another boss, but as soon as you lose to one of those bosses, you get shot all the way back to the first, and you got to play your way back through. And those playthroughs can be hours long, or 30 minutes easy. Hour and a half, and it's like just getting constantly sent back over and over and over. It's the thing where it's like you have to, it's not just like, oh, I have to play another 45 minutes just to get to the boss. You may not even be able to have a run that good again for a while. You may do several failed runs that'll take you 3 hours to even try to get one run that you can do in 45 minutes to get you back to that boss, to then have one shot to beat. And then if you lose to him, then you got to do the whole. And it tests my patience even more than a Soulsborne game. And it's as well made and produced, and as much work and love as went into Hades. It's just not for me. Those kinds of games I just can't do.
I understand. To me, for me, one of those types of games that I don't want to talk about that now, because now that it's running into the.
We're going to talk about it later.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can, for sure. It wasn't on my list until you just said what you said, though. So anyway, it's getting there now. But yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to play it either. I'm also not a huge fan of roguelikes, having played a few myself, just not Hades. Although I've had so many friends tell me to play it.
Yeah, like I'd played Dead Cells was probably the last roguelike that I had played.
I tried that. I didn't get in.
And it was fun. It was fun. I think I played it more because it was on Switch. I got it on the Switch, and it was an easy game to pick up and do a run or whatever. And so it was fun. But there wasn't like a story, sort of ish. There was a bit of a story that you could pick up through context clues or whatever, but not like Hades. Hades has a narrative that it has a really interesting way of doing it. So it's kind of a bummer that, I just couldn't get through all of that to get to, because the narrative was fantastic and it was a really well told story, but it's just, I just couldn't do that. I just couldn't do that repeat, but I'm glad that they're still doing well, because if you are into those kinds of games, obviously Hades and Hades 2 now are fantastic options. So I'm glad that team's worked hard. They're super cool from everything that I've seen online from whenever they made Hades. So I'm glad that Hades 2 is getting all the love and praise that it is.
Well, speaking of glad, one thing I'm glad about as a Battlefield 6 player is that EA announced today, and DICE, that Battlefield 6 bot farms are dead. So I'm happy about that. If you don't know what this is, Battlefield uses a system called Portal that lets players design their own multiplayer maps and set the rules. They can define the rule set and regulations. For instance, if you want to create a pistols only variant, or you want to use World War II weapons versus, modern day for the other team, you can do that.
Like the old school Halo lobbies, man, whenever you do the custom games.
Yeah, so slappers only,
GoldenEye.
But what some people were doing, these games, you can decide if you want to populate these games with bots or not. So the exploit was people were putting gunless bots onto a map and then having them basically regenerate like nanobots just infinitely. And they were just standing on top of a building firing into a horde of bots, and then they were maxing out their mastery on all the weapons.
That's awesome.
So,
I mean, granted, shouldn't do
it
it,
is.
but
It
that's
is. But
brilliant.
I'm so pissed. And then, EA announces that they shut down the bot farm, but not whether they got the people that were using them. So now we probably got a lot of people running around max mastery on everything with every attachment, and all they've done is stood on top of a one-story building and shot at bots.
See, I don't think they could. I don't think they could take it away from those people because, did you earn it? Not in the truest sense,
No.
but you didn't.
Not
you
even
didn't
not in
hack
the
the
truest sense.
game.
Not at all.
You just utilized something that they
Yeah.
had and you use it in a manner that they had not conceived of. So it's one of those props to you. You get it this time, but never again.
Yeah. So
That was like whenever Destiny had the loot cave.
Yeah.
In Destiny 1 they had what was called the loot cave, and it was just this area that would constantly produce enemies. Like usually in stuff like games like Destiny or whatever, you go to a place, enemies show up, and then as long as you're in that area, they don't show up again. You have to go a certain ways back and then re-enter. But there was one cave where there would always be enemies coming out of it. You could just sit in this spot and just take them out. And, the engrams, they would have these minuscule percentage chances of dropping legendaries and exotics and all that stuff. But whenever you're throwing bullets at, hundreds or thousands of enemies,
Yeah.
some of those are going to drop. And so there's screenshots. If you just Google, like Destiny loot cave, I'm sure you'll see all these screenshots of this cave with just hundreds of engrams in front of it in all of their resplendent colors.
Damn it, man. I'm not a big fan of those kind of things. For any number, I remember when GTA 5 came out, multiplayer, and it was either a convenience store, it was an ammunition or something where you could get it to dupe cash. And people were saying, hey, join my multiplayer server and I'll give you $40 million. And they were, man. They were just driving around the world. And every time they'd run into somebody in the world, they just drop them like $40 million from using that glitch. And in that regard, Rockstar managed to find some people that headed that up and banned them, but didn't ban any of the people that received the 40 million. So
they took out the cartel, but none of the network, huh?
Yeah, and my point is, it's just as illegal to receive stolen items as it is stealing them. So
but you have to know they were stolen, right?
Who doesn't know $40 million in jail?
Hey, man, it could just be a good Samaritan wanting to give you $40 million on a shark card.
They're going to use the dumbass rule on you in court on that one, because it's going to be like, dude, you had to know. Nobody's going to walk up to you in GTA 5 and drop you $40 million. They're more than likely going to shoot you in the face and take your money.
Especially if it's an RP server.
Yeah, no, yeah, fair point. But anyway, glad those are gone. I've got to bring this up because it's something that I have thoroughly enjoyed, and it just keeps getting better. And my hat's off to Deity Vinge, of course, for the one man, all alone, with a little bit of help from some other guys, who created the Star Wars Genesis mod list for Starfield.
Oh, you're a Star Wars fan?
Yeah. Here we go again. So he just released Genesis 8.5. He's got new locations. And when I say new locations, I'm talking places like Jabba's Palace, the Forest Moon of Endor, lots of cool things. No, I do not know. I haven't had a chance to go there, but I don't know if Han Solo's hanging on the wall at Jabba's Palace.
I was going to ask for one of the other main characters, but sure. Han Solo.
Yeah. So he added space megastructures, which I think are cool. Like one of them's a big space station with a ring around an entire planet. He added an Eclipse class Star Destroyer. If you don't know what that is, it's the one that Holdo hyperspaced into in Last Jedi. and it's floating above Mandalore now, as if getting to Mandalore wasn't hard enough. If you've ever played Genesis, now you've got that thing waiting on you just to blow you up. Unless you are an Imperial aligned character, then you can go right on through.
Wait, so that wreckage is in the game?
What?
The wreckage of that ship?
Oh no, it's not wrecked in the game.
Oh.
It's a full
Oh,
new
okay,
version.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So he added new bosses. There's new explosions and special effects. There's unique armor crafting, which we didn't have before. You could only craft armor that was already available in the game. Now you can custom do it. I told you about he added a whole new level of voiceover work to the point where I think he used AI to do Saul Guerrera's voice because he sounds just like Forrest Whitaker. And then the planet visuals have just been taken to another level. I'm sure my video card is going to love him for that. Although I have managed to reach a decent percentage of usage on my GPU playing that game, but through some tricks. And I'm running max settings on there, and it's still crazy. But anyway, really happy that came out. This was like the longest gap between updates, and it's after watching the video, it's pretty obvious why. I mean, it's just a lot of cool stuff he added. So anyway, that's all I had for regular games. I did have a crazy game category tonight.
You do.
And this, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go for it.
No, I was going to say the category is games or franchises that you've always wanted to get into, but you can't for any reason. It could be games that your friends all wanted you to try out, and you tried it out and you just couldn't either grasp it, or you just couldn't figure out what the draw is. Maybe you couldn't afford it. Maybe you couldn't play it because you were playing something that was very similar and you just didn't want to add another game to the backlog. So any number of reasons why. And I will start just to open this one up. And I don't think you'll be shocked at all. This is a game you've played. In fact, you brought it up on the show tonight already. Destiny. I always, from the very instance that it was announced and the beginning footage was being showed, it was something I wanted to play. And it was one comment from a Reddit guy. He was like, "Oh, wow, it's the Division in space." And I was already playing the Division, and I was playing Division pretty hardcore back then. And this is the first one. And I just never got around to it. And then Destiny 2 launched. And then there were people saying, just play Warframe. It's free, which I tried Warframe and ended up dropping Warframe and going back to the Division. But it was always a game I wanted to play because the lore looked cool. I liked those bikes looked really cool. The
sparrows,
the differences between melee and range combat, it all looked really cool to do. And I just never did, man. And the only reason was the reason is I just never did.
Well, see, and that's a bummer because it was more Halo than it was Division, which I mean makes sense given that Bungie developed it. But the first game, and the lore was fantastic. It did have a lot of lore, but that all came in time. Whenever it first launched, it had a rough launch. I was lucky enough to get a preview to the game. So months before it launched, I was able to play a preview of it, and it was really bare bones, but the gameplay was great. And I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome! I can't wait until it releases and we can see what's going on." And then it turned out that was the game. Like what I played was the release version. There was no story, and like I said, the gameplay loop was fantastic, but there was no story. And they it even has the widely mocked line of "I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain" was an actual line in a quest. That's how little thought went into it. Hey, we got to go do this thing. Why? Reasons. That's why. Now let's do this.
Leroy Jenkins.
So Destiny 1 always really struggled with that. In fact, you'll remember that Dinklebot was a thing, right? They paid so much money for Peter Dinklage, and then that got replaced by Nolan North. But Destiny 2 was kind of where they fixed all of that and got everything together. And Destiny 2 was an absolute juggernaut. It was phenomenal until Bungie stopped listening to its players, and now Destiny 2 is an absolute shadow of itself or shell of itself. And
I mean, is it unplayable? Can you still go back and play the part
you
that
can
was
go back
good?
and play. You can go back and you can play it. You
Yeah.
can play Destiny 2. It's just like all the advancements and things, like they've just stopped doing creative things. And and there is some content. It's been so long since I've played. I don't know if they brought back some of the, maybe somebody in chat if they know, but it's like they would put some planets away. You know, they would like hide content, but obviously whenever they would do that, like obviously you can't go back and it was a whole thing. But Destiny 2 was great until it wasn't, and now it's looking like, you know, it's dying, and it looks like Bungie itself is dying. Obviously, as we've covered with the marathon stuff, and everything,
Marathon
like,
shit. Yeah.
Bungie's just struggling.
Plus, I got to tell you, man, how much I hate time release / rotational content.
Yeah,
I hate it. Once you release something, I should have access to it at all times, especially if I bought it.
Yeah.
And
that's been one of the complaints.
I think of Hitman a lot because once World of Assassination became a thing, they start rotating out targets. But honest to God, from a lore standpoint, that actually makes sense. So it doesn't bug me as much. Plus, I feel like there's so much content in Hitman World of Assassination anyway, that if you're waiting on one to come into rotation, it won't be that long.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, I hate rotation content.
Well, I have one that I just never got into. I wish this is one. Every time, and there's been so many games, and every time a game releases, I see so many people get excited that a new game in the series is releasing, and I just get I get bummed that I'm not as excited as they are, because I just don't know the joy of this series, and that is Yakuza. I have never been able to get into Yakuza. I would jump in, and
that's really weird, man, because you play Persona, and there's some definite inspiration there.
Well, so the thing with Yakuza though is at least Persona, you start it, and Persona is what it is. It is this thing. It is this tone. It is this style. This is the story. This is how it works. This is the thing. Whereas Yakuza, anytime it's advertised, all the trailers, it's always this gritty, crime drama, whatever. And then you start to play it, and then it's like shooting water guns at a target to win a prize at a street fair.
Yeah.
And
it's very Japan.
And throwing rubber ducks at random people that are wanting to fight you on the street, and you're like, what is happening? Like, I thought I was signing up for some sort of crime drama, and it's just like the tones were so disparate that I just couldn't bring them together in my mind, even to the point that there was an associated series that came out, and I was like, okay, this is nope. I knew that was going to be your guess, but no, there's another series that came out that was associated to it, and I was like, this is going to be it. This is going to be my doorway in. This is going to be my path to Yakuza, and that was Judgment. And
yes,
I started to play Judgment, and then it fell into the same things, and I'm like, and it's like it's just so there's no transition between. There is a very grounded, gritty story.
Yeah,
and then there's just insanity. You can have a cutscene of this very grounded, gritty story, and then that cutscene ends. You turn around, and there's somebody in a freaking cat suit standing next to a locker that you need to get to. It's like, what is happening? It's just this disjointed experience, and for whatever I've just never been able to get over that hurdle.
I can absolutely respect everything you're saying, and I think the ones and I haven't played them all. I'm not like some veteran of the series. The ones I've played were always the ones that were highly reviewed. Like I tried Like a Dragon Ishin or whatever, which actually takes place in feudal Japan, and that one's kind of cool.
And those are
Uh,
now turn based, right? Isn't that's part of the separation where the Like a Dragon series are turn based?
Not all of them, no.
Oh.
So Ishin wasn't, and or at least the part I played hasn't been, but I know one of them is, but I think a lot of it is in typical Japanese culture fashion. I think they're trying to break the monotony and show you a little bit of the street culture. So yeah, it plays like all of them play like an 80s John Claude movie with the Mentos music playing in the background, and you're fighting and you're doing all this cool shit, and the next thing you know, you're at the laundromat doing your laundry, like a laundry mini game on the spin cycle, or you're singing karaoke, or you're playing like a knockoff version of Yu-Gi-Oh at a table somewhere. And so that can throw people. I can see where it would throw them off or take them out, and it would me.
Yeah, it's like if there was some sort of like mix of these two things that was consistent throughout the whole thing, maybe that would help me. But it's like this disconnect between. It's like here's a very serious segment, here's a very cheesy segment, and it
they ought to give an option at the very beginning. Hey, I just want the story.
Just give me crime drama. Give me crime drama.
Give me the crime drama. I'm an American. Give me the crime drama.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I don't need tchotchkes and rubber ducks and whatever other escapades we can get into.
Yeah.
So that's one that every time a new game comes out in the series, which is pretty frequently, I always see people get excited, and I'm always like, man, I envy their enthusiasm.
Well, following your lead, my next one also has a butt ton of games, and I played, and I think you can divide this franchise into two very distinct eras. My era and then everybody else. So my era contained, the franchise is Resident Evil. So my era of Resident Evil was the first game, the second game, the third game, Code Veronica X. And that's it. That was my era. Oh, 4. Resident Evil. I was about to say
4. You never got to 4 because 4 was basically where
4 was fantastic.
That was I ended on a high note. That was the last one I played was 4.
That was the last one I played because I bought 5 when 5 came out. I played 10 minutes of it and I sold it to a friend for $20. It was terrible.
$20 to $20.
Didn't even play 6. Wasn't interested in 7. Didn't play the stupid Operation Raccoon or the Resident Evil
Raccoon City.
Resident Evil Generations 1, 2, 0, 14. I didn't play any of those. Still haven't played the remakes of the ones I did like, 3 and 4, 2, 3, and 4. I don't know if it was just a series that I got my fill of, or that they just lost me. I missed the old days. I liked the loading screen creaking from room to room because it always scared the shit out of you, especially if it was something that was going to jump scare you immediately when you got into the room. I would have liked more modern movement ability and camera freedom, but I think that was part of the scare. But yeah, they lost me, man, and I just quit. And I wanted to be all in. I just couldn't. To me, 4 is the last one.
Yeah, so this is, like I said, this same thing happened to me on the same number. And it's not that they lost me. It's somehow I lost them somehow. I don't know what happened.
I get that. That's how I feel too.
And because I think, and it's not them, it's me. But with their sort of transition to, obviously 4 was kind of like a watershed moment. Over the shoulder, it really changed up the way that it worked, and good for them. It was phenomenal. I love that game, and it was a tone shift for the game itself. But as they chased that tone, or they started kind of going down that road, it lost the tone that made me fall in love with Resident Evil whenever I was younger. The slow moving zombies, the sort of environmental horror, the I've only got 2 bullets, and I know that there's 10 zombies out in the courtyard.
Yeah,
You know,
I was gonna say 4. I was like, I always felt like I only had 4 bullets.
and so and then once they had the over the shoulder thing, even though, like I said, 4 was phenomenal, I loved it. I loved that it was a change of scenery. I loved that the zombies were fast moving. But then it kind of became a thing where it was like, it was more like Far Cry, where there's not an ongoing, and I know that there is some sort of ongoing narrative between them, but it's very tangential at this point. Like, it feels like, now their whole thing is finding interesting environments to do these things in, rather than you following the story of Jill Valentine or something like that. And so I just began to feel a little bit disconnected from it, but not in a way that I'm like, oh, I'm not like, I don't like this game anymore. I just never felt compelled to play it beyond 4, because 4 was kind of the end of the stories that I had kind of grown attached to. And so as they did 5, and it's kind of like, oh, it's doing its own, it's kind of going in a very similar direction of 4. I was just like, oh, I'll wait to play that. I don't need to play it right now. And I'm still waiting to get around to it. So, and it's just been that way ever since. So I don't dislike them, and I still have in my head, I have every intention of catching up at some point. I just haven't done it yet.
I doubt I ever will, but yes, I have the intention there. What's your next one? Do you have another one?
Yeah. So there's a few that come on, but one of them, and not to hammer the subject on it too hard, but one that's a big one, and right now is Battlefield, the Battlefield series. I've just never been big into the Battlefield series. I just haven't played it a whole lot. And so everybody was so excited about Battlefield 6, and rightfully so. Everything I've seen of it looks great. But that's just one where, I'm glad that it came out. I'm glad that it looks like it's kind of eating Call of Duty's lunch for right now. But I've never been big into the Battlefield series.
Yeah, and I've got other friends that are the same way. They're straight COD sluts, and that's all they play is Call of Duty. And although you don't actually seem like you play a lot of Call of Duty either.
I do not. I do not play Call of Duty.
And maybe that's just not your thing. And like, my argument was always Battlefield would create an innovation, and then Call of Duty would capitalize on it. And I feel like now we're in a world where
Call of Duty was Apple.
Yeah, and I feel like now we're in a world where, kids are being told you have to play Call of Duty. Battlefield's not where it's at. And then there's the another piece of me, which is the ex-military of me, and all ex-military people will tell you, none of them are realistic, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, not super realistic. Some of them have realistic moments and devices. But Call of Duty, what really bugs me, and this is pre-Nicki Minaj, back when Call of Duty used to be somewhat of a tactical shooter, was that you had to be infantry. Everybody was infantry. You never got to drive a truck or a tank or fly a jet or a helicopter. And a war is very much a combined arms operation. I also like the idea that in Battlefield, you could technically be a conscientious objector and not fire one bullet and still be on the scoreboard. You could be straight up medic. You can be a straight up truck driver. You don't have to shoot yeah.
I've seen a lot of like posts on social media about people like making jokes about that, for like, hey, for all you Call of Duty players, whenever you go down, like, don't hold this button to skip it. I am coming for you. Like, you stay put. I will come for you. I will get you back up.
Yeah. And, I remember, and this is way back in the day on PC, they came out with Battlefield Vietnam. And literally, I'd come from Battlefield 42, and I was, I pretty much played an assault guy, pure and true, and a medic. And all I wanted to do on there was be a Huey pilot. I don't think in the whole 2 years I played that game on PC, I ever fired a round. I would log in, get in a Huey, take off, pick up some guys, bring them back to base to rearm, take another group out and drop them off. And that's all I did. And I loved it, man, because it let you do custom soundtracks. So I'd play like The Doors, and had my own 70s soundtrack that I would play over the audio so they could hear it. And it was
played Fortunate Son in the Chop.
Yeah, man, that's all I did. And I enjoyed the shit out of that, man. Loved it.
Well,
But
I,
yeah,
I and
I
an-
understand where you're coming from.
but another thing that does make me happy though that Battlefield 6 is doing well is it's like it's so crazy that it's a revolutionary idea now that Battlefield is but it shouldn't be a revolutionary idea to listen to your players. Like,
Yes.
why is this so hard? It's like this is where Destiny has fallen off, where Call of Duty has fallen off, for so many games and movie and TV franchises, Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, all where it's just like they just decided, nope, we've got our fans,
We're
so
gonna do what
now
we
we'll
want.
go and do what we want to do. Like, no, you had fans because you did what the fans wanted. Like, listen to your fans, otherwise they will go somewhere else. And I'm glad that Battlefield 6 is like, hey, we'll listen to you.
Yeah.
And they implemented that, and I'm hoping that this is the start of a wave of developers starting to listen to the fans again instead of just like, hey, here's the new heavily monetized Nicki Minaj battle pass, whatever that you asked for.
Bro,
Like,
what the hell,
don't-
dude?
I don't recall asking for that.
Asking for that, right?
So that actually was not part of that letter that I that I sent you. So yeah, I am glad that Battlefield 6 is proving that, hey, when you listen to your players, the players will come back.
Yeah, they somehow managed to cure
Take note,
themselves
Bungie.
of they cured themselves of what I call Kathleen Kennedy syndrome, where not only did she not listen to her fans, she alienated her entire fan base. It's
Yep.
not even her fan base. It's not even fair to call it that. It's George Lucas's fan base. She just alienated it. She's like, I'm just going to do my own thing. Force is female, y'all.
Yeah. Well, again, how do you make
Yeah.
a multi-million-dollar franchise? Well, if you're Kathleen Kennedy, you do it by starting out with a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Do you
power
have
of-
any others that you would like
power of
to
one.
throw in?
I have one more because it's also relatively new, and I don't know if you fall in this, but and here's the thing: I gave the first game. This franchise only has 2 games, and I gave the first one a legit what I would call a college try. I think 12 hours is a good college try.
I think 12 hours is definitely solid,
and-
especially
and-
depending on what game you're talking about. Whether
So, well, the game in question is Kingdom Come Deliverance.
see, this is one I've
So-
heard so many good things about, but I have never tried it at all.
And I got to tell you, as a fan of Mountain Blade Bannerlord and as a fan of Chivalry, I'm not opposed to a first-person medieval combat engine.
We've all played Skyrim.
Yeah, it does not work with Kingdom Come Deliverance. I feel disconnected from who I am, from who the character is, in a game that prides itself on some of the facial animations and micro expressions to read other characters. I don't get to see my own, and I know he's making them based on the conversations I have. I mean, getting caught sleeping in the pigsty or whatever, and he's like, "What were you doing back here?" I know my guy's going, "Whoa, not that!" But
Not
I
what
don't
you're
know
thinking,
that.
that's for sure.
Wait, whoa, hey. So here's a couple shillings. Let's pretend this didn't happen. Yeah, I just don't feel like third or first person works for that game, and it ruined the game experience for me. It absolutely killed it.
See, I've never tried. I know a lot of people love it. I've wanted to give it a shot. I haven't gotten around to it, but that is one thing, and it's a thing that we've talked about before. It's very important to me in games. Some games less than others, but it's always a thing that if it's not there, I wish that it was. And in games like the one I'm about to mention, when it is there, it should actually be there. Like Cyberpunk 2077, and that's visual progression. I'm a big fan of visual progression where you're doing all this work. Like it helps me to see my character and feel. That helps me. I'm a visual person, so being able to see my character visually change and evolve really helps me, and it drives me. So if it's not there, I wish that it was. And whenever it is there, like theoretically, it's there for Cyberpunk. It drives me crazy that it's like you spend all this time, you do all these edits, you find all these clothes, you do all this, and then you exit the menu and you're just in first person view and it doesn't matter. So it's like, I can understand Kingdom Come Deliverance. I'm sure it's very much the same thing where you probably have different armor sets and stuff like that, where theoretically your appearance is different, but then you get out of menus and it's just a floating sword.
Yeah, it's a floating sword or a horse head in front of you because you're on a horse. I mean, the Skyrim one was worse, but that one's not much better. But yeah, it just, like I said, man, it ruined it for me. And I'm really, honest to God, I have no desire to go back to that one or to play the second one because of it.
Well, I don't blame you. Well, and one game, I don't have a big franchise or anything like that, but I think they are coming out with like a second game though, or already have. One, I won't spend a lot of time on this one, but that just comes to mind. And that's Octopath Traveler, and I wish that I had gotten into it because I know it's won so many awards. It had so many people love it, but
Yeah.
I've just never gotten. I even own it. I own it, and I haven't played it. So yeah, Octopath Traveler. I know I need to get on top of it.
That's like that Nino Kuni, whatever it's called. I wanted to play that one too in the same vein as Octopath Traveler, and I haven't done it either. So yeah.
Well, so to go on with game franchises to help us transition into the media section of our show, one thing I have now finished it, Jay has not, but it's Splinter Cell Death Watch on Netflix. So we spoke about it last week and our initial impressions of it. Jay was 5 episodes in at the time. I was about 4 episodes in at the time. Had nothing but praise to sing for it. I have now finished it. It's 8 episodes long. One of the like the only complaint that I had whenever we were talking about it was that the episodes were so short. So those 8 episodes go by pretty quick because they're only like half-hour episodes. But it was phenomenal. Last week said that we, highly recommended it. The way that they ended it, I am on board. It is very clear that this is not a simple, here is our mission. The season is the mission. Season ends, mission over. Okay, now let's do a prequel with Sam Fisher. That is not going to happen. So a few things. And I think you and I were both kind of seeing the shift as we watched and we talked about it last week because we were both very timid and afraid of what this show was going to be.
Yeah.
Given just history with other franchises that have been Netflixed and Disneyed and whatever, we were
afraid. Oh, sorry, a little bit of a.
We were afraid that it was going to be a thing where it's like, hey, here's this guy that you like, but look how old and decrepit he is. Oh, but here's this new sexy hot McKenna. Look how cool she is and how fast she is, and try to do a little switcheroo. And it's not that. It is not that. They both have strengths. They both have weaknesses. They're not trying to make you admire or respect or enjoy one more than the other. They are 2 completely separate characters, and they're 2 completely separate characters working towards a common goal. And so it never felt like anybody was competing for attention, and that was great. And even though, like Sam Fisher is obviously much, much older, it basically picks up where, like, the last game, this is basically, it's not picking up where that left off. It's picking up to where he is now, like since the end of that game. Like if you were going to check back in the year 2025, what's Sam doing? It's that, it's him. It's him much older than the last time we saw him in a game, but still very capable. He's old. He doesn't move as good as he used to. He's not as quick as he used to be, but he is still very capable. And in the process of this show, I want to see more of this version of Sam Fisher. I hope that much like the Witcher series that also got Netflixed and sucks now, but how they did like the spinoffs and the prequel. I hope that's what they do, where we get younger versions of Sam Fisher via a prequel miniseries or something like that, and look at some of the older Sam Fisher stuff, or older as in happened longer ago. You could see a younger Sam Fisher, but because I do want to see the continuation of this version of Sam Fisher. This is a very strong continuation of the games, and they do things that I did not expect. They made some big plays that I 100% did not expect to happen, and props to them. They've got some balls, and the show is great.
Okay, well, now I'm interested. Now I'll finish it tonight.
You should finish it tonight, sir.
Honestly, part of it, and I know I told you the main reason was season 3 of The Diplomat came out on Netflix, so I started watching that. but also part of it's like a lot of things with me is when I don't want something to end is I get about halfway through it and then it's like I'll just piecemeal the other pieces just a little bit at a time because I don't want it to end. I was definitely that way with the last season of The Expanse. I remember that I milked that sucker for all that was worth.
Yeah, I do that with books as well. Like I'll get to the last
Oh yeah,
a little bit of the book, and I'm like, I'll just stop here for a while.
So, but anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to finish it. You, did you have any more comments on it before?
No, that was it. Just highly recommend. They made a lot of really bold choices. They did some things that I did not expect. Yeah, again, at first when I started the series, I was just relieved that they weren't doing what we feared they were going to be doing. They weren't trying to do the switcheroo. But by the end of this series, not only am I relieved that they didn't do what we feared that they might be attempting, I desperately want to see more of this version of Sam Fisher. So I am eagerly awaiting season 2, which it's already been renewed for. So I'm eagerly awaiting.
So you brought up The Witcher, and I have to ask you: have you read any of the Witcher books?
Yes.
Okay, so then when I mention the name Emil Regis, you'll know that is a very big fan favorite character in the books. He is an ancient vampire. I don't know if this is probably. I hope this doesn't blow your mind like I did last week or a couple weeks ago with Uncharted 5 and stuff, but. They released a trailer. It's the Emil Regis trailer, and Lawrence Fishburne is playing Emil Regis in this trailer. There were people that liked this trailer. Then there were people that absolutely murdered this trailer in the comments.
Well, I have been very. As soon as Henry Cavill left, I've been like, okay, screw this show. Like I'm done.
I'm still going to watch it. I have to watch it. I mean, I definitely do now that Regis is in it. But like I said, he was one of the most favorited characters. But yeah, so I'm still going to watch it regardless of how bad it is. If it turns into a complete epic dumpster bear fire, I mean,
it already is. But yeah,
yeah, with pleather costumes and like magic made out of
the CW does The Witcher.
Effects. Where it actually just goes 66 Batman. It's like pow, boom. Anyway, but yeah, still looking forward to see it. But make sure you find that trailer and watch it, even if it's just for laughs.
That's all it would be. I mean, I watched that scene that they released, whatever, went late one Friday night, hoping to bury it in the news cycle. And yeah, it looked like Buffy the Vampire Slayer level special effects that the Hemsworth brother in there.
Wow, that's harsh.
I mean, it's true though, man. It was bad.
That's pretty harsh. The other piece that I'm super excited about, is Fallout Season 2, which a comment was made this week, and I forgot already who made it because I was busy when I saw it. Is that Fallout Season 2 is expected to be basically a buddy road trip with.
That's kind of how it ended.
With the ghoul and Ella Purnell, whatever her character's name is. I've already forgotten her name. She was so inconsequential to me after the second episode. But what strikes me as odd is most of the footage we've seen, almost all of it has been centered on New Vegas. And so I'm wondering, how long it's taking them to make because they were just standing on the edge at the end, looking into what looked like it might have been about 5 miles away or 3 miles away. So I'm wondering, how long it's going to take them to get into New Vegas, B, how long they're going to be there, and C, is the whole season going to be in Vegas, or maybe just the first part as they venture even further outside of New Vegas?
Well, I am curious as to how they're going to do this second season, because now this is another one where, again, kind of like listening to your fans. This is one where, okay, so you bought the rights to make a show about a game. So typically whenever somebody does that, the first thing they do is they say okay, so we'll use these character names and then we'll just tell whatever story we want to tell. And it has no resemblance to any game, that they're trying to do. Whereas Fallout, they actually
Yeah.
not only did they cater to the fans, I mean they got like crazy. There's details in the background of that show that
Yeah.
nobody will ever see unless it's pointed out to you, that people spent hours just constructing a small thing that sits on a shelf.
Yeah.
You know,
And you
that's a
hate that
reference.
for these people because you know
Yeah.
they poured their heart and soul into that.
Yeah.
And maybe one person can. It's like trying to watch that scene in Ready Player One and spot all the Easter eggs in that one shot that it flies so fast. There's probably 300 of them you miss.
Yeah.
And even if it's an item that you collect typically as a Fallout player, like a bag of Radaway or whatever Mentats.
Yeah, they did so good, and so they did so good with all of that, and also, which I mean, I know you and myself, we've always been big fans of Walton Goggins, but whenever he did this show, he was not on this rise, this career resurgence that so they got Walton Goggins before Goggins, but it seems like he's been around forever. It seems like only somehow the mainstream has only just now realized that Walton Goggins is awesome. But
literally, like before Fallout, the only thing he'd done is that character in Ant-Man. I mean, the only thing he'd done leading up to Fallout was that. That was like the last.
As far as mainstream big stuff.
Yeah. This is, folks, if you're listening, this is way before Goggins goggles.
Yeah. It's like the Shield, whenever he was on the Shield and all this stuff. So anyways, Walton Goggins they got Walton Goggins before Goggins had this big resurgence. So that's awesome. And I think that's the thing is like, Ella Purnell, she did great in the show, and she's obviously still going to be a huge part of the show. But it became very apparent very quickly that Goggins was the guy in this show. I mean, he's no matter how many layers of makeup you put him under, the dude's just magnetic. Like you are just attracted to whatever he is doing on the screen, and he is the most interesting and complex story that they're telling as well. So I think he's going to be the focus.
Go ahead, sorry.
No,
there's a phrase people use all the time where they say, well, this guy's the glue that holds it together. He is literally the glue that holds the show together, in literally and figuratively, because he's our character that is our connection to the world before the explosion. So naturally, the story lives in him. The skein, if you'll allow me to use a Nordic term.
He's the string between the two soup cans.
Yes, man, he is. And but yeah, I think you're right. I think it doesn't matter how much makeup you put him in, and his ability to deliver a line, like when she shot him with that dart gun, and he's like, "Honey," and I'm paraphrasing, obviously. He's like, "Honey, that is a very small little drop into a big old pit of drugs." Just shit like that. He's just really good at delivering those kind of hitters like that. So
one thing that I do wonder as we go into season 2. So season 1 was basically the party finding each other, right? So it was getting your party together. Okay, these are all the people in my party. And we've got the ex-soldier, we've got the vault dweller, and we've got the ghoul. This is our party. And so season 2, what I hope that we kind of get to see, especially going to New Vegas, is get to see a little bit of the obviously they'll find a more intriguing way to do it that works for TV, but kind of do some fetch quests, do some things, go to the town, find some people, do and live with it. Cause we just saw them moving from place to place, wandering through the desert. Let's live in a place for a little bit. Let's talk to some characters. Let's have some characters that have some problems that only our party can solve in season 2. I hope that
there's a lot of problems in that world that only Walton Goggins can solve.
So I really hope that we kind of get to see that, where we get to see the party kind of hang out in one area and sort of address the issues within that area as though it was a game.
And
I think that would
use
be cool.
The gear that we have to use when we're navigating that place. So it makes an argument for power armor, and it makes an argument for having a ghoul that can literally crawl through a pool of radioactive sludge and fetch whatever it is they need to get through this next part. So yeah, I agree with you on that. I think they need to do some Fallout-y stuff.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm excited. I know that there were some people that did not like Fallout season 1. but do enjoy the game. Yeah, that's one thing I never understood. I'm like, you can't get more loyal to a game than Fallout did in season 1. So I don't know. I don't understand the people that were like, no, that sucked. But whatever. I'm excited about season 2, and yeah, I'm super excited to see Walton Goggins back as the Ghoul.
Yeah. I think they ought to Easter egg, though, and have a pair of Goggins goggles laying around somewhere that he picks up and looks at and goes, what the? Just throws them away. Anyway, though.
Whenever we started seeing like the advertisements for that, I actually had to Google, and apparently a lot of people were. I had, like, went to Google. I'm like, is it Goggins goggles? So I said, are Goggins and then one of the please Goggins goggles real? And so I was like, okay, a lot of people are looking for this, and it's like, yeah, they're a real thing. They're a real product.
Yeah.
So, okay. So there we go. We got some of that. Do you have anything else to say about Fallout?
I don't, man. I'm ready for our watch along.
Yeah. So you had mentioned, this is obviously, again, I've been in moving hell here, and neck deep in paperwork for the loan and all that stuff, and just anxiety. So I somehow missed this, but we've talked about movies, TV shows, and one of the things, we share a lot of a love for the same sorts of things. One of our favorite genres is heist movies, of which there are criminally too few of these days. And so also love a good whodunit, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about heist movies. And you had told me that there had been a trailer drop for a movie called Crime 101.
Yes. And even if you don't like, folks, even if you don't like heist movies, this is an example of what a movie trailer should look like. It gives you the particulars without giving you the specifics. It leaves you wanting more. And if you are a fan of heist movies, this looks like it almost looks like, and I hate to use this term, but it almost looks like it can't fail. So roll it, man.
All right. And so whenever I first clicked on it, also I saw Chris Hemsworth and Halle Berry. Actually, Halle Berry was the first one that I noticed, and then Chris Hemsworth. But so, okay, here we go. Let me see. Hopefully our volume levels are okay here.
Mike.
Sharon. So what are we driving?
If you can guess, I'll give you the keys to it.
Oh, Chevy Chevette, racing green.
Right color.
That is a beautiful car.
Okay, first of all, do love that car.
I need to be in your line of work.
Whoa.
I'm real good at reading people.
And what have you read about me?
Okay. You look like a person who has secrets. You got the cars, the clothes, but you can't seem to look me in the eye.
Start by handing me your phone.
You're looking at robberies of jewels, money, or high-value items in the last 4 years. Now, remove every robbery where there was DNA left at the scene. I think all of these are the same.
Hold on, was that Nick Nolte?
It absolutely was Nick Nolte.
Oh my gosh.
Guy. And he hits every time along the 101 freeway.
I came here to make you a business proposition. I've worked at the same company for 11 years. You're a VP when you should be a partner. Those high-value items your company insures, I occasionally make them disappear. And no one gets hurt. No one dies for an insurance company. Get in. There's water in the trunk.
There's a courier carrying watches and gems, and the buyer's paying cash. Looking at $11 million in one room, 3 of which I'll be taking. Doesn't matter how much money you make, it's never enough.
I'll know when I have enough.
How?
He's planning something new. Follow him.
My dad always says you gotta break through.
Dude, Barry Coogan.
And I don't know if you noticed, that was Monica Barbaro from Top Gun and from FUBAR.
Yeah, I did recognize her. Yeah, this is star-studded, dude.
You tell him
I see you again in the boat. Yeah.
As smart as our guy is, he can't help but form a pattern. I'm getting close. I know it.
Some doesn't feel right.
Nice car. You into cars?
Yeah, I prefer the old American ones.
I used to dream of having a Mustang when I was a kid.
Like Steve McQueen.
You ever see the Thomas Crown Affair? Well, he's a high-class thief in it.
I like bullet chases.
You're about to break every rule you've ever lived by. What makes this job different?
There comes a moment when you realize you don't have as much time as you thought you had.
All right, yeah, definitely seeing that. Also,
Yeah,
it's 2
man.
days before my birthday.
Oh
So-
wow, okay.
Yeah, definitely going to be watching that.
Yeah, dude.
That's
Mark
wild.
Ruffalo. I love Mark Ruffalo in roles where he gets an itch, and he has to see it through. Almost like Now You See Me, even though he was playing a fake, I get an itch.
Well, so that's the thing is like, I don't know how Mark Ruffalo has managed to get himself typecast as the detective with a chip on his shoulder,
Yeah.
or the investigator with a chip on his shoulder. So yeah, we've got this. We have Task, which just ended on HBO.
Yeah.
We have what was the one that you just mentioned?
Now You See Me.
Now You See Me. We
Shutter
have
Island.
Collateral. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, man. This
Yeah,
like,
man.
he's just doing this. He can't keep getting away with this. He's the same character every time. But no, that looks awesome, dude. Like, yeah, I love a good heist movie. I also especially love heist movies where it's the guy's just too smart, one step ahead. You know, this
Yeah.
thing where it's like it's not just one big heist, it's a series of heists, like Now You See Me or something like that, where it's a heist and a cat and mouse game. So
Right.
yeah, that's looking good. And yeah, like such a crazy star-studded cast. I don't know how much that movie cost, but I hope it makes it back. They will definitely have my money opening weekend.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. I'll be all over that. And they brought up Thomas Crown Affair, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I'm talking about the original, although I did love
The remake was good too.
Yeah. And when I think about my 3 favorite heist movies, and I know this wasn't a topic for tonight, but now it is. Thomas Crown Affair is at the top of the list. The Saint is probably my
Saint's
second favorite
awesome.
one. Val Kilmer and Elizabeth Shue were absolutely stellar in that movie. My third one is probably Entrapment with Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones. I really love the story more than the heist aspect of that one, but I thought it was well done.
Well,
So,
even
anyway.
one that I think gets overlooked a lot is because it was so. I think people saw it as more of a celebrity vehicle than anything else. But Ocean's 11 was freaking great, dude. I still
Yes, man.
love.
Yeah.
The 12 and 13, and then whatever it was where they tried to do it with the
8, Ocean's
yeah.
8.
So like those weren't nearly as good, but the original OG Ocean's 11, man, that one was so good, so fun. And kind of like this, where it was obviously had more, but it's kind of like this, where it was like a star-studded thing, but the celebrities weren't. It's not the typical sort of star-studded thing. It was like they were celebrities being character actors, and it's looking like that's what this is. It's these huge name celebrities being character actors.
Yeah, man, and I really like the trajectory of Halle Berry's career now. I really do. I think it really started with John Wick. She did a couple of Netflix movies that I've loved. I want to watch that show Extant, but I have not watched it yet, which is more of a sci-fi than a heist thing. But I really like where she's going with these very mature, smart. I thought she was a great character in Moonfall with Patrick Wilson.
God, man, that movie was rough.
Wow.
I mean, come on, dude. I mean,
If it didn't have some of my favorite people in it, like I like Patrick Wilson. I think he's both hilarious and serious at the same time.
I will
love
say it is
Halle
a
Berry.
fun train wreck. It is not.
Yeah.
It is not the train wreck
I
where it's
like
like the
John
thing where
Bradley. I mean,
Yeah.
and he was hilarious in that movie.
it's not the kind of
So-
train wreck where you're like, I can't watch this. I can't. You know, it's one where you're like, well, I got to finish this. Like, does the moon hit us? I don't know.
Like 2012 with John Cusack.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, you know, it was a fun bad, but man, it was bad. But no, I love Halle Berry. I think she's always really entertaining and great in whatever she's in, and she's done a lot of roles. She's done comedies and she's done creepy stuff. She's done something that even Whitney had been bringing up recently was Gothica, which I'm aware of, but I never actually
I was
saw.
getting ready to say that. It's excellent.
So I need to watch that. Man, I'm
Listen to
finding
Whitney,
a lot
that's
of
excellent.
movies recently that I need to watch. One of was went to with Whitney and went to the movie in the park thing they had, and it was what's the one with Bette Midler and the witches, where
The Witches of Eastwick or the other one?
the Halloween classic. Where
Dude,
it's
I
like the
don't
three
know.
witches and whatever. I can't even think of it. People are out there screaming at me right now. But anyways, I'd never seen it before. I went
Yeah.
and then I still haven't seen it. I spent the majority of the movie waiting in the beer line to get drinks.
Wow.
So yeah, I still haven't seen the movie. You know, never successfully completed Nightmare Before Christmas. There's a lot of movies that are coming up this time of year that I've just never watched. So I need to get on it. So now it's
All right.
3. So I've got Gothica in there as well that I need to. Although Gothica is definitely at the top of the list.
Gothic is good. You should also watch Gattaca if you haven't seen that, with like Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke, and I think
That's old, right? It's old.
yeah, it's a little bit older. It's a dystopian sci-fi type. Along
I think
the lines of like,
that's where Ethan Hawke met Uma Thurman, right? Wasn't it on that?
I don't
movie?
know, but that's very possible. Yeah,
I think that's where where they met.
that is a unique movie, sort of like Equilibrium with Taye
Ah,
Diggs and
Dude,
who is that? Christian Bale or Jude
Christian
Law
Bale,
on that
yeah.
one? Yeah,
Christian Bale before he was Christian Bale, and Taye Diggs
Yes.
when he was still Taye Diggs.
when he was still Taye Diggs, right?
Yeah, it was Taye Diggs at his peak, and it was Christian Bale before he was anything. You know, and yeah, that one was good. That was underrated for sure. It was because it was overshadowed. It came out around the same time as The Matrix. It was in that same general couple of
Well,
years, and so
like
it got
13th
swallowed
floor.
up. Yeah.
13th Floor came out with The Matrix, literally about almost the same topic, and 13th Floor is criminally underrated. So anyway, but also doesn't have a cast like Matrix has.
Well,
So it
I mean,
makes
at the
sense.
time, you know, really, Matrix was like that. Keanu Reeves had sort of been like his career he'd just been kind of quiet at that point in his career, hadn't been doing much, and then Lawrence Fishburne. I mean, he had been in some things, but he had not like blown up, right? Like he was.
Yeah,
it wasn't
I think
like
his movie before that was Higher Learning with Christy Swanson and Ice Cube and a very young Tyra Banks. But yeah,
it's hard to believe, but at the time that show was made, I think Joey Pantoliano was probably the most famous out of everybody in that cast.
yeah, without a doubt, man. I'm sure of it. And I'll tell you a real quick funny story, Matrix story before we get off here. But I was in the field when the Matrix hype was going on, so I missed all the build up to the movie The Matrix. And then I come out of the field, and go home, take a shower, get cleaned up, see what's on at the theaters, and this movie called The Matrix is there. And I went down by myself and
Had no idea what you're getting into.
No, grabbed some Taco Bell. Hadn't heard anything about it. I knew Keanu Reeves was in it. I like Keanu Reeves, so I go in there and watch The Matrix. And I'm coming back out to my car. As I'm walking out to my car, and I stop about halfway, I've got my keys in my hand, and I literally looked just into the sky and go, "What the F did I just watch?" And I literally turned around and bought the ticket to the late show and watched it twice in a row, because I was like, "What the hell did I just watch?"
Well,
so it had its intended effect, I think.
Well, and it was also so crazy looking back on it now, how because I remember all of the the special behind the scenes documentaries and stuff about it, because it was like, how did they even do this? And so it was the whole thing where they had the circle of cameras so that they could do the one shot, and that began. And it's like, now you can do that on your smartphone,
Yeah.
like with no problem. But at the
Yeah.
time, it was like they had to like come up with these crazy ways to do all these crazy shots, and it's just crazy how far we have come to where now, like, you could have made The Matrix now for a tenth of the budget that they made it for then.
Oh yeah,
Just because
absolutely.
of how so it's wild. So, and for that reason, I think a lot of people, if they go back, a lot of the younger audience, if they go back and they watch it now, they won't really realize the sort of impact that it had, or just how crazy or revolutionary that it was at the time, because they see stuff like stuff like that can be done by a YouTuber,
You can do it with
over a
CapCut and
weekend.
cell phone.
Yeah. So,
So,
yeah,
and by
I
the
think
way,
a
real
lot of
quick,
people.
to the 5 people watching right now, thank you.
Yes.
Drop
Hi.
us a comment so we can say hi. But thank you for watching.
Yeah, appreciate y'all being here. I was just talking about how earlier on the show, where I was like, oh yeah, with this whole move and everything, I feel like I kind of let our audience down, because
Yeah.
for like a month I've just been
You have.
swamped with the whole move and everything. I've been letting everybody down. I'm so sorry, Jay. And
You're
so,
killing me,
yeah,
Smalls. You're killing me.
yeah. But I'll get back to doing the edited videos. We're still talking though. We're still talking every week. We're doing it right here, so you can still catch us here while we get our own equilibrium back.
Yes.
And doing that.
Nice.
And we
Well
thank
done.
you. So this is what it is. This is what we are. We have
Maybe
some
we
topics.
should draw up a matrix for how we're going to get everything back.
Yeah, we kind of go off on our little tangent, especially on weeks like this week, where it's kind of slow news. There's not a lot going on in games
No.
or anything like that.
Or TV or movies.
As an oddly quiet week. Although, speaking of movies, there is a movie that I should shout out, because I did watch it on Netflix when it was working after the AWS outage. But that was The Perfect Neighbor. So it's a documentary on Netflix called The Perfect Neighbor, and I highly recommend it. It is a bit of a downer. It is not a happy story, but it is real, and it is. I've only seen a couple of other documentaries done this way, and that is that there's no narration, none of that. Like there's no narration, there's no interviews with people like talking over, nothing. It is all 100% body cam footage, or 911 audio, or Ring doorbell footage, or footage from like a police interrogation room. Like, it's all of the audio that you see in all of the video is from these official sources. So they construct a narrative by weaving all of these things together without
no
having to have,
commentary.
with no commentary, no interviews, nothing like that to kind of like tie things together. So it's an incredibly well done editing job, and a way to story craft it all together and tie these into a narrative. Unfortunately, like I said, the narrative is a very tragic one, but it is I think it's an important one, and it was really well done. So yeah, it just released on Netflix. I was interested in it just because I'm interested in true crime and stuff like that, and I saw that this was coming out. I thought it was going to be a series. Turns out it was a movie. I was like, okay, well, I got a little time. Watch it before going to bed, and it was so much better than I anticipated that it would be. So if you're a fan of true crime and documentaries, and I'm a fan of both, definitely check out The Perfect Neighbor on Netflix. So definitely a good watch. But again, bit of a bummer.
So I'm more of a history guy than a true crime guy. And the one I finished recently was World War II in color. I'd been wanting to watch. It's been out for like a couple of years, man, maybe longer than that.
Is it
And I've been
actually
wanting to
called
watch
World
it.
War II in color?
In color, yeah. So they've colorized like a lot of famous World War II footage, and dude, it's really excellent. They did a good job. It doesn't. There's some spots where you could tell they had to work their butt off to get it to happen, but I thought it was very well done. And yeah, I enjoyed it very much. And it's it ranked up there with me with the Age of Samurai Battle for Japan documentary / docudrama, which is also good, or the Age of Rome one, which is also good. But yeah, So, and it does have more of a happy ending, World War II. It
Good
took us
guys
a while
win.
to get there. Took us a while to get there, but it did on a funnier, or not funnier, but happier slash, really hit you in the feels type of World War II story. Though the last survivor of Pearl Harbor died recently, and they cremated him and buried his ashes with the USS Arizona, with his naval buddies
Hmm.
that he lost on that, which I thought was really freaking cool.
That is cool.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if that guy owned any hoodies, but if he did, I think he probably got them from comfort.com/hardcore.
Yes. So yeah, as we do transition into the winter seasons,
Yes.
yeah, feel free to go to comfort.com/hardcore and get yourself 15% off any purchase that can be used at any time, as many times as you want. So thank you guys for joining us. Did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about,
I
Jay?
do
or we-
not, man. We need to reach out to comfort.com, though. I need to see if they do any like industrial strength hoodies that are good for work. But anyway, no, that's all I had.
They're thick, they're comfortable. This is the airplane mode hoodie. You should check it out. It's
Yeah.
great. But all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for checking us out. Again, this was episode 42 of the Hardcore Casual broadcast. Yeah, we will see you next week again. Next week, I'm moving, so it won't be on Thursday. Typically, it's Thursdays at 8, 7 Central. But next week, it'll be Saturday, maybe Sunday. I should be moved in. It will be a different room in the background, but we will be back. So,
And check me out Monday night as I review the Formula One Mexican Grand Prix this weekend. It happens on Sunday. So if you're an F1 fan, tune into the Fuel Pod on Monday night at 7. And
what's
we'll be covering,
the actual thing? YouTube.com/
it's Fuel Podcast. I thought we had a banner for it somewhere. We do.
there we go.
Booyah. There it is. So if you look at the bottom of the screen there, that's our YouTube channel. And if you're into racing, give us a watch on Monday night at 7. That's all I got, man.
All right. Thank you, guys, and we will see
Thank
you
y'all.
next week.